Hello, this is Tyler Beamer, math instructor at Haywood Community College. This is an instructional video to show students how to create a scatter plot on Microsoft Excel. I am going to be operating from the Chapter 2, Section 3 notes in Math 171, Pre-Calculus Algebra. These notes can be found posted to Moodle. In particular, I want to take a look at example 1, in which we have data collected in regards to the liters of alcohol from drinking wine per person, which is the independent variable X, and then the deaths from heart disease per 100,000 people per year, which is the dependent variable Y, for a number of different countries. The countries' names are not listed here. I don't have that information other than we know that the U.S. is letter R, but I do not know the other countries in regards to which letter is representing which country here. Alright, so what we want to do is first of all open Excel and put the data into Excel. And we want to put this in as paired data. So we want to have two columns. I'm using A and B. And essentially the paired data is going to go across from each other in each row. So cell A1 and B1, that is paired data. That basically represents an ordered pair, and it represents a country. So each ordered pair represents a point on the scatter plot. And in each ordered pair in this case represents a country. So this would be, let's go back to the data, country A, and they have on average 2.5 liters of wine drunk per person per year in that country, and then per 100,000 people 211 of them die from heart disease each year. So that's what that represents. Row 2 would represent another country, country B, so on and so forth. So what we want to do is then plot these ordered pairs on a scatter plot. And so after you type the data in two columns as paired data, you can then highlight all of the data. And then you can go to Insert and go over here to the Charts function. And if you click on the downward triangle, you would see some different options for a scatter plot. The first option would be a fine option in this case, just to get a standard scatter plot. So I'm going to choose that. And the scatter plot is given to you automatically. It's created in Excel. Keep in mind that each one of these blue dots represents an ordered pair, represents a point on the graph, and in this case represents a country. And so if you move your mouse over the ordered pair or the point, you can actually see the coordinates. So 5.8 comma 115. So that's the X and Y coordinates for that particular point. I would encourage you to give your scatter plot a title. So let's go look at our data. And so we are essentially comparing quantity of wine drunk per person and heart disease. So we could give the chart some type of title in that regards. So I'm just going to type it wine versus heart disease. Just, something to the effect of what you're graphing, so that when someone looks at the graph, they have an idea of what it is that the graph is representing. You obviously don't have enough space to get incredibly detailed here, so you want to try to make it something short, sweet, and to the point. I would also recommend labeling the axes, the X and Y axis. And so if you click on Chart Elements, you can add axis titles. So let's go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to click axis titles, and then I click in the box here, and that's going to allow me to put a title for each axis. So let's just go back here, liters of alcohol, so liters of wine per person per year, essentially. And then the y-axis was deaths from heart disease per 100,000 people. And I'm going to put something to the effect for each country, just so it's kind of signifies that each one of these data points represents a country. So, like I said, you don't have a ton of room here to get too detailed, but you want to give enough information so that when someone actually looks at the scatter plot, they know what they're looking at. They know what the graph is representing, essentially. Okay. And so a scatter plot is helpful for many different reasons. One reason is, it's much easier for us to visualize trends in the data from looking at the graph as opposed to just the numbers. If we look at this graph here, it is suggesting that as we drink more wine, there are less deaths in heart disease per 100,000 people. The scatter plot definitely has a negative correlation, negative linear correlation. As the x values increase, the y values are decreasing. And so we could then at that point start to investigate reasons for that. And another great thing about scatter plots is that you could then try to get a line of best fit or a regression equation in which we could use to make predictions. And Excel will also do that. If we click on the chart elements, there's lots of different options here. Trend line is the one that we would want to select, and we want to do a linear trend line. And that is what's being shown here. So this is the line of best fit. It's the line that goes to the majority of these data points, and is a line that we can use to make predictions. So let's see if we could actually show the equation here. So if we go to Format Trend Line, I just right-clicked on the line itself and clicked on Format Trend Line, and here we go. Display equation on the chart, and so that actually gives us an equation for the trend line itself. And so that is helpful for predictive purposes. If I typed in a value for x into this equation and then solve for y, that would essentially give me a predictive analysis of the number of deaths from heart disease per 100,000 people for the number of liters of wine drunk per person, which is the value of x that I plugged in. So, for example, if I wanted to figure out, a prediction or an estimate of the number of deaths of wine, or number of deaths from heart disease per 100,000 people, if someone drunk, say, 11 liters of wine, right, which notice is not even on our scatter plot, right, then I could use the regression equation for that purpose. I could simply put 11 in for x. Hold on a sec. Okay, and then finish out this equation. So negative 22.969 times 11 plus 260.56. I'm just putting this in as an equation in Excel. Notice I started it with equals. So I'm just really basically using Excel as a calculator here. Hit equals, and then that will give me a prediction. So if a country on average drank 11 liters of wine per person per year, then they would have an estimate of 7.9 deaths from heart disease per 100,000 people based off of the data. So there's a number of reasons why scatter plots are extremely helpful, and hopefully this video allows you to use Excel as a technology to create nice graphs, and then also calculate a regression equation which you can then use to make predictions. Okay. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any questions, as always, please email those to me, and have a great day.